All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome. Today, I'm super excited because we've got Patranya Bhoolsuwan joining us today. She is here in Las Vegas and she's an Emmy Award journalist and a media consultant. Patranya, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Great way to start off the week chatting with you.
Yes, absolutely. And so we're live right now. And folks, if you have a question, feel free to just drop it in the comments and we'll bring it up and dive into it. But today, we're going to be talking about storytelling for our business lesson. And for our life lesson, we'll be talking about taking leaps of faith. And so before we get into that, I'd love to learn more about you, Petrania, about your story and how you came to be the person you are today.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're talking about hustle science experiment. That's your theme, right? And I feel like my whole life has been kind of an experiment. I just never really know how things would turn out, but I try it out anyways. That's kind of been my thing. And my first experiment, I guess, was moving to the U.S. from Thailand. Nearly 30 years ago now, even though I don't look that old. I came here as a college student. So I came to study journalism in San Francisco. I went to University of San Francisco, and I knew I wanted to be a reporter since I don't know when. That was kind of my dream. And so I moved from Thailand. I finished high school in Thailand. I came to the US, went to college here, studied journalism, did my internships at all the TV stations in town. Very lucky to have been hired by one of the TV stations right out of college, and I started, doing all kinds of grunt work and, you know, uh, like they say, work my way up from the bottom. And, I started moving around to different TV stations across the country. That's kind of how you pay your dues, as in many other businesses. And I, started behind the scene as a news producer, news writer. And then I started going in front of the camera. So I became a TV reporter, and also I got a chance to anchor. So I did both. I was a TV anchor and reporter in many markets across the country, from San Francisco to Seattle, Washington, D.C., and also here in Vegas, where I'm based right now. So I did that for since I got into TV right after college, over 20 years. And towards the end, this was a few years ago, I said, you know what, I kind of want to do something different. Like, I love being a journalist. I love being a storyteller. I love being a reporter, but I wanted to do something more positive too. I mean, journalism is great, noble profession. I still have a lot of admiration for journalists out there, but I feel like I wanted to just tell more positive stories. Because a lot of stories, if you watch the news every day, it's very gloomy, dark, negative, just sad, and I want to be able to tell more positive, uplifting stories. And I felt like there was a space there where I can help tell stories for people, and that became my media consulting business that I started right before the pandemic, Patranya Media LLC. I wasn't sure how things were going to turn out. Like, when I first moved to the US from Thailand, like, I hope I'm going to become a reporter one day. I don't know. I know it's going to be a hard road, but I did it. And, I kind of did it again when I became from my life as a journalist to an entrepreneur, not really sure how it's going to turn out. Just, put one foot in front of the other and just started doing it. And here I am today. And so I have my media consulting business where I do everything from media training. So I do media training for like corporate C-suite executives, other entrepreneurs, you know, um, doctors, realtors, professors. I've done everything. I also, consult on PR marketing strategies for small businesses, nonprofits. I also offer myself up as moderators, MCs, panelists, hosts for different events. I still freelance once in a while. I still write for different publications and magazines and newspapers, and I also do on-air hosting as well. So I still get to keep a little bit of my journalism, broadcasting experience, but be able to train other people who are maybe a little bit not as confident to jump on camera, which more people are doing now, especially with the pandemic, and more people have to jump on Zoom and to do the other kind of virtual presentations. So I had to do some training for that as well. So yeah, so it's been a journey. it's been interesting how things have turned out in my life in the way that I did not expect. Never thought I would ever call myself an entrepreneur ever, or a small business owner ever. I didn't think I had that mind of a business person. But it's funny because of the name of your podcast, Hustle Science Experiment. I felt like, some people, ever since I was a reporter, it's like, God, you're such a hustler, because I was able to kind of get people who didn't want to talk to me, as a reporter. And I felt like those skills have really served me well as a small business owner, because I was able to kind of hustle my way into getting the business that I want, and be able to talk to people that I want to get to. So I guess it all worked out.
Yeah, for sure. And the journey continues, right? It is an
It
ongoing
is.
experiment that is life.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Petrania, for sharing your backstory and your journey. For folks that are watching now and interested in becoming a journalist, it sounds like you've
Mhm.
kind of really raised yourself from the bootstraps, and you've done every aspect of the news space, and it's exciting to see you in this new chapter. I want to get right into the business lesson, which is about storytelling, and I want to pull something out, to kind of tie your background to the storytelling lesson. You are a super confident speaker. You are just so great at speaking and reporting, whether it's the YouTube videos that are out there even now. Were you always this confident, or could you share a little bit more about how folks can be more confident, in sharing their story?
It's funny because I've always thought of myself as a very shy person. Especially growing up, I felt like I wasn't that confident kid. I wasn't, brave enough to go and talk to people and things like that. But I felt like, because I wanted to be a reporter so much, that I felt like I needed to kind of get over that.
Mhm.
And, so my desire to be successful and what I want to do as a career, I think, kind of helped me kind of push myself out there, and taking chances and getting out there and talk in front of people, and do interviews and things like that. So, and that's what I tell my clients now when I do media training, that you have to just do it. If you want to be a better speaker, put yourself in opportunities that will make you, do it. Whether you just, even, I just say, do a Facebook Live. I mean, those things are quick, easy. They go away in 24 hours. So if it's really embarrassing, it won't last forever, right? So go out there and just start doing it. Tape yourself on your cell phone before you do a presentation. And just watch yourself, get someone really that you trust to kind of give you feedback. So just do it. Like, just give yourself the opportunity to get out there to refine those skills.
I love that. Yeah, that's great advice. So the gist of it is just do it,
Yeah.
and practice makes
You're not
progress.
going to get any better at anything in life without practicing. So yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'd love to learn more about what you think are some key elements in storytelling, and what you could share to our folks. I mean, this is what you do as a professional, and so yeah, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, I always tell myself that now I'm still a storyteller. Part of my company, people, when you found a company, you say, like, oh, I'm a CEO. I say I'm a chief storyteller, so that's what I still do. So when I go in and I work with my clients, I say, okay, you have to, if you want to get your brand out there, especially as when I talk as a PR marketing branding strategist, I said, you want your brand, your company, your name to be out there in the world and get noticed. People need to know about you, right? You need to be able to tell your stories, but you need to be able to tell it in a way that's compelling, right? That's really the key thing, and that's what I've learned from being a journalist for so many years, is how do you tell a compelling story, especially when I have a minute and 30 seconds to do it, right? Because that's kind of the average time that a reporter has to tell a story on TV. We don't have a lot of time, which in a way is really good skill that I picked up, because people's attention span, as you know, Elias, when people go online, they don't want to sit there and watch something for 2 hours, right? They want to see something for a few minutes even, and just, oh, that's a really cool restaurant, or that's a really cool business, I want to go check it out. People's attention span is so small that you want to be able to tell your story in a concise way that's also compelling, right? So those are the two key things that I tell people. How do you tell your story in a concise manner, but it's still in a very compelling and effective way? So I think to do those things, you got to think about, okay, you got to be really clear about what you do. Write it out if you have to. Write it out a million times, so that we get from this, like, 3 paragraphs of what you do, to one sentence, right? And that's kind of the key thing that I do when I do media training is like, okay, what do you do? Who are you? And they write me this whole story. And I'm like, I don't want to know your whole story. Give me your story in 2 sentences. How do you do that? And once they're able to do that, then they're much more clear in their brain of what they do. And when they go out and talk to people or do interviews, they're able to tell them really, really concisely what they do and why they matter, right? What value they give to the community.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, even in sales, whatever situation you're doing, customer service in your business, like being concise is super important. I was in a like sales type of interview a couple of days ago, and whenever I get asked technical questions about like my technology or about my marketing stack, I'm working on getting that answer to be super concise, like in one sentence, because if it's any more than one or two sentences, by the second sentence, I might be getting interrupted by the waiter at the cafe that we're at, right? And so and that takes away attention. And then we're talking about technology, which is complicated to some people, and so boiling that down is really important. So thank
Well,
you.
I want to, yeah, and you brought up a really good point, and I got this lesson I think really early in my news career when I was training to be a news writer. You had to write really concise and really conversational. And I think a producer at the time was telling me, if you read it, you don't get it. You don't understand, nobody else is going to, right? So if you're going to explain what you do, especially when it comes to technology and things that are so complicated, if you don't understand what you're saying, nobody else is going to get it. So
yeah, absolutely. So what are, another area about storytelling I hear a lot about is like a hook to keep folks interested, right? And you have to like lead with the most, and maybe that's why news is so gloomy, because it's meant, they kind of want to grab the most shocking content. Does that advice trickle down to your clients at all, in terms of, grabbing those shocking problem solution statements? And, do you have anything you want to share there?
yeah, and I think it's, it comes down to grabbing people's attention right away, right? So it doesn't have to be negative and sad and shocking or anything like that. But I think in the first, they always say, as a reporter, you send, instead of your paper resume, you send out a tape resume, right? So it's like a demo reel. And they say, if you don't get someone's attention the first 15, 20 seconds, they're going to just pop out and not even hire you. And I think that concept or really applies to anything. When you're going to do a quick video, like a lot of people do these quick bio, put on their LinkedIn page or their YouTube page, like, hey, my name is Elias, this is what I do. Get people's attention right away. Tell people what you do and what makes you different. Like, I host Hustle Science Experiment. Nobody else does that, right? So put something that makes you different and unique right off the top.
I love that, Patranya. What is something that you often lead with?
Oh gosh, I think I really play up my storytelling skills, because I think a lot of people, especially when you come from a reporting background, they're like, how do you, because I have a lot of journalists or soon to be former journalists wanted to move into corporate space or PR marketing. It's like, how do I do that? I was a reporter all my life. I'm like, well, find that kind of universal thing that appeals to these fields, right? Especially these two industries. It's the fact that you're a communicator, you're a storyteller, and you've done that for so long in front of the TV, it becomes second nature to you. So that is very, people want that in other industries where it's not second nature to them. They want to be trained so that they can be like you, or they want you to be able to help them tell their story. So really think about your strengths and be able to put that out, right away to people.
For sure. And you know what? We've got a question that just came in on LinkedIn from Jeff Zim. Thank you for jumping in here. And his question is, can you talk about the role of keywords and SEO with respect to storytelling?
Yeah, and Jeff, thank you for that question. And I want to be honest, I'm not the person they hire to deal with keywords and SEO, right? So they're experts who deal with that. But ever since I stepped into this world, I know that it's very important for a lot of businesses, right, to put that up front. But I think it all goes together, because the people who are working with you, I know it's with keywords and the SEO, the technology is part of that, but you need someone who understands what your story is and be able to keep putting that unique aspect, what you do in your keywords, right? And what you put into this different social media platform. So yes, it definitely goes together. don't think of it as separate. You have a PR firm and then you have someone working with your SEO. Make sure that they align. They have meetings, they talk together, and make sure that your storytelling and your content and your branding, is kind of uniform across the board.
Yeah, thank you, Patranya,
Mhm.
for taking a stab at that, and thank you, Jeff. I love to talk a little bit about this too. Um,
Mhm.
I had a client because SEO is my world. PR is not my, or
Right?
SEO is a part of my
Yeah, you're
world.
the expert in that world.
I mean,
Mhm.
I have some experience in it. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I had a client that came to me with reputation management issues. When you
Mhm.
Googled, their name, you'd find, some things that weren't
Yeah,
really becoming
yeah.
for them, and they just, that was stuff that happened more than a decade ago. But because a local media station was the one that listed it, it had super strong
Mhm.
search relevance, and so what we pretty much did was, his name was the keyword that we targeted, and we got this individual placed onto different podcasts. Created tons of social media channels that listed that linked back to those podcasts, and that actually worked to bury some of that poor reputational content.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to really, like, if you know your stories, the story about you that's out there is not what you want, then like you said, create more stories, right? Create more opportunities for your name and your brand to be put out there in a positive way, and that's probably going to help as well.
Absolutely. And Jeff has some more comments here. SEO really takes the beauty and personality out of writing and prose. It
Mhm.
creates uniformity. And I would agree with that. I think, I get clients all the time that come to me and they say, I just want a black hat SEO, or I want to like just hack the situation. And I think that's
Mhm.
is actually just really poor marketing. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, creative and unique content, I think, goes much
And
further.
authentic, right? Authentic. Like, you want to make sure you put yourself in that situation where you're able to speak in an authentic manner. It doesn't seem like it's a commercial, it's something, because people can read those things really easily. Like, oh, they're just trying to brand themselves differently, but it's not authentic content. So it needs to be put out in a way that's really genuine as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Petrania, well, thank you for the business lesson. Let's move into the moment of gratitude. I know you mentioned you have so many things going on this week, but can you share something that you're feeling grateful for today?
Gosh. Well, since this is really relevant, is I'm actually leaving for Thailand. That's where my whole family lives. In 2 days, I'm leaving this week to go back to Thailand for the first time since pre-COVID. So it's been almost 3 years. Have not seen my parents in that long, and so I think that's the most I'm grateful for in a while. So yeah.
That's awesome. Is there some homemade food that you're looking forward
Oh
to?
gosh. I'm just give me all the food. I mean, when I go to Thailand or Asia, it's just all about the street food. So I'm trying not to eat that much going to this trip, because I'm probably going to gain like 5 to 10 pounds.
Oh man,
So
well,
we'll see what happens. Yeah, but so
awesome. Well,
grateful.
absolutely. That's lovely. Enjoy the time with family.
Thank you.
Um, for my moment of gratitude, I just want to share some gratitude to you, Petrania, and to the other professionals that joined us last week for the Startup Kids Camp.
Mhm.
It was really great the way that you were able to get kids to open up out of their shell and put them on the spot and you know be interviewed. So thank you.
Yeah, I was so impressed. I mean, those kids are smart, you know what I mean? And they know a lot more than you think. And the fact that they're just, I thought it was going to be hard to get them out of the shell, but a lot of those kids were just jumping and wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, gosh, I wish everybody want to interview as this enthusiastic and confident. So that was really cool to see.
I love that. So that's it ties into our life lesson, which is great, right? You got these kids to do something new, take a leap of faith, and trust you to be on camera, and that's our life lesson. It's taking a leap of faith into new things, and so I'll pass the floor back to you to share more about what that means to you.
Yeah, you hear that a lot, and people have been putting it out there, especially with the pandemic, when, a lot of people did switch careers. They took that opportunity and turned something really bad into something more positive. So they took that leap of faith to do something they didn't think that they could do, and it turned out to be really amazing. And for me, that was, what I did when I first moved to the US from Thailand. I took a leap of faith, not knowing how things are going to turn out, and just kept pushing and just, okay, this is my goal. And I always feel like, I don't know if it's like being naive or really crazy brave and just, take the chance. But I think it takes a little bit of both. Like you just can't overthink and think like that you're going to fail, But I got a really good advice recently when I was moving into the entrepreneurship world. From a friend who did that. He moved from journalism to being in PR marketing, and he said, failure is not an option for you. Like you'll find a way to make it work, And he had that confidence in me, And I think the other thing is to surround yourself with people who really believe in you and give you that support, and I think that makes a big difference as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I think you definitely seem like a confident person. Somebody that like if you put your head to something, you'll be able to knock it out, which is super powerful. Um, I'm a personally like a believer in manifestation, because it's not just our thoughts, but it's also what we say to people and what they say back to us, and it's our actions, right, that manifest the realities that we want to move towards. And it sounds like you put those negative thoughts of, oh, I might fail at this, aside, and you selected your environment to be of folks that would support you. Um,
Mhm.
how did you navigate, did you ever have to navigate like self-doubt or doubt from other
Oh
people, like
yeah.
fellow journalists, that were telling you not to do this?
Well, it's funny because my tax accountant, an amazing guy, but when I started my own business, I think he's just trying to be realistic, and he's just like, just want to let you know, 90% of
Oh
businesses fail,
man.
and I was like, okay, but and I just I always take, especially competition. Like I never knew this about myself, that that I even though I feel like I hate competition, it also really pushes me. Like, when I see people doing things that I want to do, a lot of people can take as like, oh, they're doing it better than me. Like they're already doing it. Maybe I should be doing it. I always like to see that and I use it to my advantage, and I say, you know what? I'm going to work even harder because they're kind of now pushing me and motivating me to keep following my dreams. And I always use those doubts to kind of just push through and kind of prove them wrong. Never thought that I was ever that type of person, but I guess I am. Yeah.
I love it. The prove them wrong motivation is
Mhm.
stronger than I think we give credit to sometimes.
Yeah,
I
for
I
sure.
try to
For
put
sure.
myself in a prove it wrong mentality more often. I used to do that a lot more when I was younger.
Mhm.
So what's the next leap of faith, Patranya? I mean, is there something else you want to share in terms of, the next level you want to take your PR marketing business, or some sort of new journey you've been thinking about?
Gosh, I don't know. Like I feel like I just want to keep doing this, be able to blend and my on air. I maybe want to do more freelance like TV work, things like that, because I still love that a lot, and be able to maybe have a strong enough business on the side that I can and do both, And I also teach at UNLV. I teach journalism, which I really enjoy too. So I think the teaching, educating aspect, I want to keep that, but maybe just be able to do them all in a way that maybe not have to work as much, but be able to do different projects, because they're pick the quality projects that I want to work on and just kind of spread the love. Because I get really bored doing one thing, and I think this is the perfect role for me right now to be able to do these many different things, and I want to keep doing it well and helping people. Hopefully, I can continue to give more and give back and be able to help people more with the work that I do as well.
Fantastic. That's definitely the entrepreneurial spirit, exploring different things and kind of staying in that mode of being able to do anything that you want because you love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm hoping and looking forward to us working together as well on some really
Yeah.
exciting projects. That's going to be
I'm
great. And
excited. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And oh, the other thing I wanted to say is, what I love the fact that more minorities and more women are getting out there and working together and promoting each other. And when I was a reporter, I always want to just, I see a lot of people, experts who look all the same. And my
Mhm.
goal is to keep putting, you, me, other people who may not have that opportunities to be out there and tell their stories. And I am really passionate about that, about diversity and inclusion. And I've done a lot of diversity and inclusion training for journalists across the country, and that's been a really meaningful work for me as well.
That's amazing. And to think about the impact that journalists can have on
Yeah.
their communities, when being more diverse in the selection of the folks that they interview, because part of it is people just, it's like the no trust like, or the like, whatever that formula is, but it
Mhm.
applies to everybody. And if you've never seen, somebody that looks like us in a
Right?
specific role, then you might not trust that. It's just human nature. And so it's really powerful that you've done that kind of work to, just
Mhm.
bring more exposure to people of color. Um,
Yes.
how can folks get in touch with you? Do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, Patranya, my name. I'm trying to keep it simple. That's my other life motto. Keep things simple and minimal. Patranya.com is my website. You can find everything on there. I also have a YouTube page. I love food and travel. Hence, I'm going to Thailand and go eat everything in sight. Patranya Plates is my YouTube channel. If you want to go check it out, subscribe. Lots more fun stuff, food and travel stuff on there. And yeah, Patranya, Patranya. My name is on all my social media: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. So yeah, come find me and chat.
Awesome, Petrania. Well, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Of course.
I will check out your YouTube and hope to see some pretty cool Thai food.
Yes, do it. Thank you so much. So good to see you.
Likewise. All right, bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.